Hey everyone, Danny Clark here, Performance Director and Master Instructor from MovNat. I'm here to talk to you about the tripod transition and the tripod get-up. These are two really essential movements in the MovNat system that are both foundational and also will be applied as you build your skill set into much more difficult movements down the road. So it's really important to invest your time in not only doing these movements, but becoming more efficient at them. So let's start with that tripod transition from a seated position. The setup is one of the most important parts of the movement to make it as effortless and efficient as possible. So we want to start in a bent long sit. So that's one leg straight, one leg bent, and then a post opposite of the bent leg. So if your right leg is bent, left arm is going to be posted out. Okay, the position of the foot is really important. We want it to be as close to our hips as possible because we're going to end up putting weight into this foot. The further out it is, the more it's going to put weight into our arm, which takes a lot of strength. Okay, so let's get that foot as close to your hips as possible, get into a good vertical alignment, good posture, like you need to be able to look and see. And then from here, let's position the arm properly. So we want to be able to spin the pit of the elbow in line with the index finger. What that does is it centers our arm bone in our shoulder, and our whole shoulder complex gets in a great position to bear weight. Okay, so it becomes sort of bone on top of bone. You can think of it that way. Okay, and then from here, what you're gonna do is you're actually gonna push your shoulder down and elevate your heel at the same time and just put weight onto your foot. Okay, what we wanna try to avoid doing is trying to push ourselves up with a bent elbow and putting weight on the arm. We wanna actually do the opposite. We wanna get everything aligned so we can easily just put weight onto the foot. From here, if your knee range of motion isn't so good, this is gonna be a way to start working on that. Of course, the kneeling positions will help that as well. From here, what we wanna be able to do is just elevate our hips just a little bit more. Just by doing this motion, we elevate our hips, which is great. Practice that a few times. And then from here, you can use your leg strength just to elevate your hips just a little bit more. Everything else is relaxed. This arm is able to bear weight nice and easily because of its position. And then from here, you can fold your leg in and use your torso strength just to turn your center of gravity and weave the leg underneath. So it's important to practice each step of the way for the tripod transition to set yourself up for the next movement and be as relaxed as possible, not expend too much energy. Okay, so from here, transition to weight on the foot, elevate, turn. You went from your points of support being your foot, your hip, and your hand to just your hand and your feet. And then from here, you can either get up or transition to your next movement. Let's continue with the tripod get up. And we're gonna learn how to get up using the tripod transition, but first we're gonna learn how to get down using the tripod transition. So starting standing, there's a lot of different ways you can work into that position that we left off at here in this crawl position with 3 points of support, 2 feet, 1 hand, okay? You could hip hinge, you could squat, or you could do the deep knee bend, okay? And they all have their practical applications. Today I want you to focus on the hip hinge because for just getting up and off the ground on a flat level floor, it's the most efficient, and it's also where most people really need the work to gain the range of motion back in their hips. So you're gonna focus on sending your hips backward first in a straight line. The knees will just stay softly bent. Okay, so focus on hips back, not overbending the knees, but just keeping the knees soft and then reaching for the ground. You'll feel your weight shift from your heels and then into the ball of your foot. And if you can't reach the ground from here, you can use something like a rock or any kind of bolster to be able to reach the ground to start. Okay, once you've found your way to the ground, whether that's a bolster or the ground itself, then from here, you can lower your knees, and then it's just the tripod transition to get down. To get back up, tripod transition, shoot your hips backward, okay, and up. So you're gonna feel your weight shift from your supported hand, your point of support being your hand with a straight arm. You're going to push yourself backward. Really, the more you can close your hip joint, the easier this is gonna be. The more it's just your spine, the harder this is gonna be. So it's just something you practice and get better at with time. Sink into your hips, feel the weight go towards your heels, and then from here, you can stand up. If it helps, using that bolster or even 2 hands, that's a good progression. Okay, so once you can do it top down, you can integrate it into your practice, and every time you get up in your life, in your practice, Use your tripod getup until it becomes easy, effortless, and efficient. So I hope this tutorial has been helpful. Danny Clark here in Strength and Balance. I thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing your progress.